Hi, this is Matthew. Going to talk about a book series I'm reading that I'm almost done with. It is the Inspector Wexford series of novels by Ruth Rendell, who is a British author, British characters, of course. Started all the way back in 1964, and it finished in 2013. There were 24 books. I'm on 22 of 24, so I'm almost done. I'm about midway, almost midway done with the 22nd book right now. As of recording this, they're about 8, 9, 10, 12 hours each. Not too long. Even a couple of sessions of running around somewhere or riding on buses and stuff, you can probably get through most of a book. They are on Bard. However, I found a way to get into the UK Blind Library. I'm reading them from there. I discovered it on a cartridge of Braille books for my e-reader, which I've sadly, as of this recording, have had to replace for a fourth time. It's the ZooMax e-reader. Hopefully the new one will work. I don't know. I've heard rumors they might be going to the Humanware, but I can't verify that. I've heard just rumors and rumblings about this, so I can't say for sure. But regardless, I found one of the books on the cartridge, and I'm like, what in the heck is this? So I just went searching, and I decided, well, plus, they weren't using British terms in our book, and I'd say, I want to hear the British ones, the British terminologies and names for things, and so I went over there. Instead, they're all converted from tape. Some of them say they were converted only if someone sponsored it, but obviously they were all converted. They go from tape, follow book 1 all the way through book, I believe it's 18. We'll double check when I read the book list out, but it should be, I believe it was book 18, and then it went to digital books after that. So that was the first time navigational elements from the book were mentioned, that you could navigate them. They don't mention them in the other ones. They're there, I think, but they don't mention them. Whereas on Bard, they always mention they were taken from tape and all that, and what the navigational headings are, and anything tape-related doesn't apply. I love the tape ones because you can hear like the book pages turning. Sometimes people will take a drink of something, moving the chair, having to cough randomly, and kind of like get away from the mic, but yet it's still on. But one guy did this many times in one of the books. I forget which one, but he coughed I don't know how many times. He'd go off mic and cough for a second and come back. I've even heard kind of, I think, her stomach sounds weirdly. People bumping the mic, all that stuff that you miss. There's still some page turnings. In fact, they recorded them all up to, I guess, but back in 18, I think 19. I'm trying to remember. I know they're commercial books, but the 21st book they read again, and now it's back to commercial audiobooks, but I don't know what the last two are. Different narrators almost every time, except for the commercial books seeming to be mostly the same person. But no one person read any of the books more than once. There was a short story collection they don't mention, but I forget the name of right now. There's Inspector Wexford, his wife Dora, his 2 kids Stella and Sylvia. Sylvia's a pretty famous actress. He gets along better with her than Sylvia, who is a social worker, but he doesn't mean to. Just, I guess some parents unintentionally may favor one kid over another, but they're all adults in these books. And they're Detective Inspector Mike Burton is another cop on the force who he is very good friends with, as well as just being a partner kind of like to him. He's always very active in the cases, many different types of cases. It's interesting to see that, the times change and terminology change, and to talk about political correctness and racism, and when they get cell phones, and now we're doing email on the internet, and he's kind of confused by some of that. He's definitely getting older. By the 2009 when this book our reading was released. Different things like that are happening. So anyway, he just retired. Has to come back out of retirement. Apparently, I think the last 2 books, I believe. So that's coming for him in the series. Apparently, it was there was the Ruth Rendell Mysteries from 87 to 2000. There's a TV series that I've never seen. It is on BritBox, which I have a subscription to, have for quite a while now. I may at some point go over there and watch that. Perhaps. Need to finish one of their series up over there, unrelated to this. You have some other, I know Lynn and Karen come later, and Hannah, they're female officers. There's a few other male ones whose names have escaped me right now. There's been various kind of, pathologists, for the time of death, coroners, I guess, whatever. Those guys, various, guys that cut up the bodies. There have been 2 or 3 or 4 of them throughout the series. Different things like that going on. And you can see how the town develops, because now they've got like supermarkets and all kinds of stuff like that where they didn't at first. It's kind of interesting. How just the times change throughout the years. I think she died in 2013. The author. I'm assuming maybe she finished the book. I don't know, but as far as I know, she finished it. I'm not sure why Wikipedia doesn't mention the short story book, but that escapes me. I may look for that in a sec. We'll go through the books real quick, though. We had the first one was From Doomed with Death in 1964, and then we had A New Lease of Death in 1967. Apparently, here in the U.S., it's Sins of the Fathers. If you don't find it under A New Lease of Death, and then the third book was Wolf to the Slaughter in 1968. Followed by The Best Man to Die in 1969. A Guilty Thing Surprised in 1970. No More Dying Then in 1971. Murder Being Once Done in 1972. They say it's called Murder Being Once Done in the United States here, but the UK library, they have it as Murder Being Once Done also. So I have no idea about that. That's apparently both titles of that book. The Brits used our title in their recording. I don't know why. Then we went to Some Lie and Some Die from 1973. Shake Hands Forever in 1975. A Sleeping Life 1978. There was then in 79 a short story collection, which I think was 4 of them. That name has escaped me right now, what it was called. For Hitchhiker's Guide fans, though, the narrator of the book narrator of the 3rd through 5th books, when they did those radio dramas, he narrates that one. He's quite a bit younger. His name has escaped my head right now. That's terrible. I had to go look him up. I know that voice, and that was why, and I've just spaced his name, which is horrible. Please remind me in the comments if you want. It's one of those, I know it when I hear it, and I think of it some other time, but when I want it, it's not there. Then we went to the year I was born, 81. We had Put On by Cunning in 1981. Apparently it's also called Death Notes here. And then we had The Speaker of Mandarin from 1983. There's also quite a bit of stereotyping and stuff going on sometimes. There were some very stereotypical Chinese in this book. It's part of it's in China randomly. And The Kindness of Ravens from 1985. The Veiled One, 1988. That was the book that was on my cartridge. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. That was my second year of kindergarten, was 88. Then we had Kissing the Gunner's Daughter from 1992. Simi Solo was from 1994. Road Rage 1997. That one really felt more like a commercial audiobook reader. The reading style totally changed here. He was much more commercial-ish sounding to me. Then Harm Done was in 1999. That was the last tape book that they did. And then 19 The Names of the Wood from 2002 was the first digital title, where it actually mentions digital navigation and all that. End in Tears was 2005. Not in the Flesh was 2007. That was also a one they read out. R&B did. And then it went back to commercial for The Monster in the Box 2009. That's where I am right now. I probably won't be in a day or two. I'll probably be next on The Vault from 2011, and then we end up with Newman's Nightingale from 2013, and that is it. She wrote a bunch of other books, too, that I have not read. But those are the books. I don't know why it doesn't mention the short story one. That's very strange. Let me see if I can maybe find it real fast. Yeah, I wish they'd listed that, because I could have just listed it really quickly, but they didn't. Let me see if I can find it really fast here. It is... Let's see here. Gotta get at least... Of course, it brings up all of, like, the advertising junk to... Oh, I need the... No. Hang on. I want me to find other books here. Just a second. I know when I hear it. Just a sec. Let me... I hate this. Apparently there's various omnibus collections of them as well. You might be able to get a whole omnibus of all of them if you want to get a big book and not have to change books out. You probably could find at least a few collections of his stuff here. I need that title, guys. It is frustrating. I'll try another search here for it. Let's see. I will find it eventually. It'll come to me when I hear the title again. Just a sec here. A New Kind of Murder. That was it. Thank you, searching the internet. Yes, Another Kind of Murder. Yes. Let's see which books were in it. Oh, we spent a live from 1932 to 2015, so she did finish. Okay, I thought she died in 13. It was 1932 to 2015 was how long she lived for. Okay. Okay, yeah, it was Another Kind of Murder. That was it. All right. Now that I've done that, that I found it. I think I'm pretty sure it was four little short stories in it. Yeah, I really enjoy them. They might seem a bit dated at times, but you know, it's from 1964 to 2013, so you know you're gonna see differences in attitudes and what people say and people smoke and stuff, and it's just the times we live in. As you go along, things change. It's kind of interesting to read. I think even her writing changes too. It kind of modernizes and changes through the years also. Yeah, lots of other books. Just go look at Ruth Rendell. You'll probably find her. Oh gosh. Let me get her spelling of her last name. Ruth is R-U-T-H, of course. It is... Make sure I get the spelling right. It is... Her last name is... Make sure I get the spelling correct here. Oh, she writes the books under Barbara Vine, too. But I'm trying to find the actual, like... Oh, come on. It is Rendell. I was off by an L. Okay. It's Rendell. Okay. Ruth Rendell. I was close. I was off by one L. In case you need the spelling on her last name. So. But yeah, various. I'm sure other libraries have it. You can get it. Maybe some are on Libby and stuff. Maybe there's stuff on Audible. Maybe there's been newer recordings, perhaps. Definitely in Braille and audio in the blindness libraries for sure. Very popular author, it looks like. I might sit quite delve into her other stuff that she did, but that I can find. But I do enjoy these for sure. Yeah, very good, enjoyable books. Lots of different, typical murders to people missing. People disappear randomly for no reason, or some people thought at one point they thought there was someone that was missing from a flood, but they really actually weren't missing. They just made it look like they were missing. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of different kinds of people in the town of. It's a fictional town called Kings Markham. It's in Sussex, that county of England. They do go to London sometimes and various other places. Most of them are in Kings Markham, where he's, obviously where his work is, where he's from, a cop there. So most stories are in Kings Markham throughout the years. Yeah, it's a neat little series. Might check some of the books out. I read them in order. You probably wouldn't have to. They sometimes will refer to other things previously. Not a lot though. So you probably could just pick up any old book from the series and read one. It probably wouldn't matter too much if you didn't know what was happening before then. They don't really refer to each other too much. Yeah, I do enjoy them. Even though I'm kind of reading them in a slightly different way. One's on Bard are a mishmash of, I think, Jim Zeiger, who I don't care as much for, and Graham Malcolm, who I do kind of like, but I don't know if everybody read all of them. I think maybe they did, but it's a real mishmash. If I'm going to have a mishmash, I'd rather have it from the British. And then having to sort through which books were which person, and I didn't really want to deal with that. So I took the easy way out and went with the UK library for the blind ones, the RNAB reading library, they call it, I believe. Their library there. I took the easy way out. But feel free to read them on Bar. They are there. Just pick your narrator of choice if you want. Because I think there's 2 listings for most of them. I think the Graham Malcolms are farther in the list than Jim Zeigers for some reason. Well, I guess Jim Zeiger just died. Apparently, I don't know about Graham Malcolm, but I think Jim Zeiger has just recently passed away, like a week or so ago. I think I saw something that he had died. He read a lot of books, though, of different types. So, yeah, rest in peace, Jim Zeiger. He read a lot of books, but he reads some. Graham Malcolm reads others. Jim Zeiger just has a weird voice. I don't mind him sometimes, though. I think it depends on what he's reading, perhaps, but yeah, they are on Bard, so go look them up. As I said, there's probably Audible has some. I don't know how, maybe there's been re-recorded books of them somewhere that I know nothing about. Maybe they're read by other people. Who knows? You just have a look around and try to find them. I mean, they're obviously in print in various places. You find them in used bookstores, eBay, anyone that sells, Used books probably might have a title or two. Maybe libraries still own them. I don't know. Obviously, check Libby and Hoopla and stuff for audio in public libraries if you want. It doesn't cost you a thing, so neither do the blind libraries. But so there's some omnibus editions of multiple books if you just want a whole bunch to try. But yeah, give it a look. It's a good series, I think. Very interesting, but I like British stuff, so. And detectives and police and all that, and just one of the many book genres I like to read, so. I think that'll do it for now. I will see you guys in another video.